Mayor, you can come to the mic.
Okay,
Now let me get the mic place.
Good morning, everyone. 3 years ago, I was very proud that my first act as mayor and our first act as a new city council in 2017 was to commit ourselves to being a compassionate city through the signing of the city's Compassionate City Charter. It was nearly now 1 year ago, almost to the day, that the city codified its commitment to a more resilient community for the future by ratifying our Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, first ever in the city's history. Today, we get to implement part of that vision and ensure that we not only are protecting our canopy and shade canopy, doing our part to improve air quality, but also investing in our community's quality of life. The Compassionate City Charter is a movement to encourage San Antonians to plant 20,000 trees here in our community, with all the myriad benefits that we know planting a tree will do for us now and in the future. You know, in closing, I do want to leave you with the old Greek proverb that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, and that is that a society grows great when old men plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. That's what we're doing here today, and that's why I want to thank Dr. Tom Evans, the staff and students and administrators and faculty here at the University of Incarnate Word, Dr. Ann Helmke, who is the director of our faith project at the City of San Antonio, along with Bill Neely with Sacred, which I hope many of you are familiar with, and then of course Doug Melnick, who is the director of our Office of Sustainability, who has led the effort to our Climate Action Adaptation Plan. Thank you all for being here today, and I think there is no better way to kick off election season as well by the planting of trees in our community. So enjoy.
Osio friends, Ali Hilisti, Agalanchi Dawado. Good morning, friends, and welcome. My name is Agalanchi. I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. My English name is Vance Black Fox. I'm happy to serve this city and my neighbors in a few different ways, though this morning I get to represent and bring greetings on behalf of Compassionate San Antonio. And I get to represent the faith-based initiative of the City of San Antonio, where I serve as the Indigenous theologian. Every time we gather together, it is important that we acknowledge the land that we are present on, as well as honor the people to whom the land belongs. As we gather in ceremony this morning here in this place, at the headwaters of Yanaguana, currently also known as the San Antonio River, we acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Coatecan and Tonkawa peoples, both past and present, honoring with gratitude the land itself and the people who lived here and cared for it for time immemorial. And we are grateful that they are now able to share this place with us. What a beautiful moment, this ceremony, to plant a new neighbor, a new relative, a new sibling, this tree, a gift to our city and back to Mother Earth, but a literal gift to ourselves, a gift that is that in a variety of faiths and cultures symbolizes life, but that also selflessly, without discrimination, literally gives us life by providing us with the air that we as humans breathe. The Creator and Mother Earth have gifted this place, Turtle Island, and the whole rest of the world with trees that have also always provided warmth by sacrificing themselves for fire, and also provided most of us shelter by becoming a part of the houses and buildings within which we live and slumber. Yes, it is one of the most selfless of our siblings, the tree. And today, at the headwaters of Yanaguana, where creation stories of our Coatecan relatives originate, we get to offer a new place to this tree, a new sibling in our midst, one that will also represent the selflessness and the compassion that we are all charged to have for all of our relatives, for all that is created, for all of our neighbors. We are, after all, a compassionate city. In many traditions, this ceremony would be a healing ceremony, this offering of new place and new life in our community. This morning, I'll be offering tobacco to the tree, to the original peoples of this land, and to the Creator, an offering of thanks and a prayer for healing for all of us gathered and for all of Mother Earth. Wado, 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 wado.
Good morning. I'm Doug Melnick, Chief Sustainability Officer with the City of San Antonio. We are at a crossroads. We are facing a climate crisis, and that is something that we used to think was in the future, that we had decades to address, but it's here now. All we have to do is look at the news. Look at California and the Northwest having catastrophic wildfires. The Gulf Coast getting hit with another massive hurricane. Even here in San Antonio, July was a record-breaking month in terms of extreme heat. And as the mayor had mentioned, the timing of this is significant. A year ago, council passed the climate plan. And this is San Antonio's commitment to taking action on climate change and doing our part. And that plan has two components. One, how do we reduce our contribution? While climate change is a global issue, the causes and impacts are at the local level. So part of the plan is we need to reduce our emissions. We need to reduce what we're contributing. The second part is we need to prepare. We know climate change is occurring. We know that it's going to impact our most vulnerable residents. And so we have the tree, the simple tree. Tree provides shade. It provides much needed respite to those people in our community, particularly in the inner cities that rely on walking, mass transit. We know that trees help with stormwater management. They pull up floodwaters and help mitigate that impact. We know that trees also provide much needed habitat in our community. And finally, trees can also provide food for many people in the form of fruit trees. So, trees also finally store carbon. If one of the things we're trying to do is reduce our emissions, trees are the natural remedy. We talk a lot about coming up with mechanical and physical means to pull carbon out. We have trees. So my hope is that today is a symbol that we are going to continue to actively and in an expeditious manner move forward with our climate change plan and continue to reforest the city, particularly in neighborhoods that are the most vulnerable to the most significant impacts of climate change. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Justice, City Forester for the Parks and Recreation Department. I'm here on behalf of Homer Garcia, the Director of the Parks and Recreation Department. I want to thank everybody that is here today to help us plant this red bud. As the urban forestry team, we're committed to finding new, innovative ways and new places to plant trees throughout the city. Being a member of the Compassion Tree Program has helped us with this goal. We've found new people, new ways to connect with the public, and new ways to get trees out into our community and plant them. As others have said, we all know the importance of trees. They help us in many ways, from providing food to shade to just beautifying the area around us. And these are all reasons that we should strive to put trees back into our community. This is the perfect time of the year. This is the beginning of the fall season, which is planting season. And as we're here planting this ceremonial tree, I hope that that's an inspiration for everyone else out in the community to continue this effort and to plant a tree in your neighborhood, at your home, or somewhere else in your community. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Darshana Gupte and I'm a climate reality leader and a chairperson of San Antonio chapter. Climate Reality Project is founded by former Vice President Al Gore in 2006. And since then, he has trained over 31,000 climate leaders in more than 170 countries worldwide. Today is very special day for us as it begins 24 hours of reality countdown to the future, a day of action. For 24 straight hours, Vice President Gore and his trained leaders will lead digital presentation discussion across the planet. They will explore the historic connection of climate change, COVID-19 and systemic racism that touch our lives. They will highlight how can we face these challenges and build a better future together. It is a massive community event intended to foster an urgency to act and push through actions now. With the world asking what comes next, this year we are partnering with outstanding team of TED for Countdown, turning ideas into action. Also this year, Climate Reality Project will plant a tree around the globe on behalf of each attendees of the presentation. Forests are not just trees. They provide food, water, livelihood, employment opportunities while capturing the carbon from the air. They are imperative to the global ecosystem. Locally, our San Antonio chapter is partnering with a Compassionate Tree Project to fulfill our act of leadership and commitment to make San Antonio green. So far, my team has already planted 239 trees and we are committed to do more. Finally, what do trees, bees, butterflies and climate reality have in common? Well, they are all nature's workers. So in addition to this ceremonial tree planting today, as climate conscious citizens of the world, let us vow to plant as many trees as possible in our lifetime. My special thanks to Anne Helmicki for arranging such a wonderful event and our host UIW. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Dayanara Rios. I am the Community Relations Coordinator at William R. Sinkin Ecocentro at San Antonio College. Ecocentro is an outreach center for community and environmental sustainability. Our mission is to cultivate the understanding, progress, and practice of sustainability. We do this through education, outreach, service, and research at our center through virtual programs and at our newly launched Garcia Street Urban Farm, one of the largest urban farms in the city. Ecocentro serves as a demonstration center, think tank, and community hub for urban agriculture, water resources management, and green building. Increasing sustainability in our homes, neighborhoods, schools, businesses, and governments ensures clean air, adequate water supplies, abundant food, and community connections for generations of San Antonians. We're here to provide information and resources to positively address environmental and social challenges. Some of these include food insecurity, rapid population growth, economic expansion, and increasing scarcity for our natural resources. This requires a collective solution to protect resources critical for survival and well-being, and taking action to address our climate reality. Ecocentro is proud to be part of the Compassion Tree Project. At this very moment, we are actually giving away free trees that count towards the 20,000 tree goal, thank you to the City of San Antonio Parks and Rec Department. Trees are important for our daily lives. Just a few of the benefits, as Doug mentioned, include providing shade and cooling our neighborhoods, providing clean air, habitat for pollinators, increasing your home value and beautifying our community, and some of these trees even provide us with food. Every tree, vegetable, and flower that we put in the ground is part of our commitment to create sustainable communities and built environments where all are empowered to succeed. If you do one thing to help your community and help Mother Earth this year, let it be planting a tree. If you don't have the space or means to plant a tree where you are, at Ecocentro, we'd be happy to have you come plant one with us.
Good morning, my name is Mario Bravo. I'm the project manager for partnerships and outreach for Environmental Defense Fund. Guided by science and economics, Environmental Defense Fund finds practical and lasting solutions to the most serious environmental problems facing the planet. We have over 2.5 million members across 26 different countries and a staff of 750 scientists, economists, attorneys, policy experts, and advocates. In San Antonio, Environmental Defense Fund has been involved in efforts to reduce ozone air pollution, help develop the city's climate plan, and along with many other individuals here, we sat at the table for some of the very first meetings for the development of this compassionate tree project. In Texas, Environmental Defense Fund is currently working to facilitate the adoption of medium and heavy-duty electric vehicles and promoting the use of renewable energy to power our electric grid. Just like planting trees, these efforts will both help reduce our impact on climate change and improve local air quality, creating a better future for all. May the planting of this tree at the Headwaters be a symbol of the wisdom that has been passed down to us by our ancestors and our love for future generations.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Lucky with Gardopia Gardens. We are so blessed to be here at the Headwaters Sanctuary, the University of the Incarnate Word in San Antonio, Texas. And I think we should just take a moment to reflect upon that and everything that's occurring right now in this moment in history. With that being said, there are many actions we can take to address the climate crisis we are currently experiencing on planet Earth right now. Many of those things are political, and we know with politics things take time. You can support the Green New Deal, but that's political. You can reduce your meat consumption and change your diet, but that's political. You can divest in the gas and oil industry. In Texas, that is very political. One of the things that is apolitical is planting trees and supporting our environment. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, green, purple, gray. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. We can all agree that we need more trees at our schools, our community centers, our churches, our residential and our commercial complexes to support the many benefits that we all know exist. So I'm going to ask you today that are here and those of you that are watching to vote for Earth with your dollars and your actions. That's really what's going to make change right here and right now. Thank you again. May the planting of this tree support peace here on Earth right now.
I'm Dr. Sally Saeed, Secretary of the Board of Directors for Headwaters at Incarnate Word, a nonprofit earth care ministry of the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word. It is responsible for a nature sanctuary of 53 acres adjacent to the UIW campus, including the Blue Hole Spring. The Blue Hole, because of its free-flowing spring, was the site of native encampments beginning 12,000 years ago, according to archaeological evidence, and native groups continue to visit the spring, which they consider sacred to this day. During Spanish colonization, beginning the early 18th century, acequias, stone-lined ditches, carried water from the Blue Hole and San Pedro Springs to the civilian community, the presidio, and the missions. After the Texas War of Secession from Mexico, ownership of the Headwaters passed to the city of San Antonio, which sold the springs to City Alderman J.R. Sweet. Sweet sold the springs and adjacent land to George W. Brackenridge in 1869. After the drilling of artesian wells made spring ownership less critical, Brackenridge sold some 283 acres, his head of the river estate, to the Incarnate Word Sisters in 1897. Today, the sisters retain about 155 acres, including the campus of UIW, the retirement community, lands surrounding the sisters' offices, chapel, and Brackenridge Villa, and the Headwaters Sanctuary. On July 22, 2020, the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word and Headwaters at Incarnate Word signed a conservation easement agreement with Green Spaces Alliance of South Texas. The easement will preserve in perpetuity a 50-acre natural area encompassing the headwaters of the San Antonio River and guaranteeing the continued existence of the only nature sanctuary in the urban core of San Antonio. May the planting of this tree today overlooking the Blue Hole symbolize the resilience that the conservation easement brings.
I am Sister Martha Ann Kirk, a Sister of Charity of the Incarnate Word. And let us remember that in the middle of the 1800s, a tenth of the population of San Antonio was dying of plagues. At that time, the mayor sent out an urgent plea for healing, for public health care. 3 young women came from France in response to the mayor's plea, started what many of you know as Santa Rosa. Now there is a system called Christus that includes Santa Rosa. So I speak not only for the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word, but our network of 47,000 people working in Chile, Colombia, Peru, Mexico, and the United States. A network in Christus Healthcare. I am a professor at the University of the Incarnate Word. Many educational branches. And so we work together as global citizens. We work together within the ministries of the Incarnate Word Sisters. I help plant this tree near the headwaters that each of us may recommit to being compassionate, to being healers, to working together for the health of our common home. As Pope Francis says, the earth is our common home. Thank you for coming.
My name is Rachel Ziewinsky, name sign R, heart to heart C. I'm so happy and thankful to see our truly wonderful interpreter here today. Thank you for making this part of your schedule today. Probably any of you who don't happen to read written Hebrew are wondering, what does this say? This is the original text of what we in English interpret as number 624, meaning, the Lord bless you and keep you. I'm here representing the San Antonio Interfaith Environmental Network. Let's talk about trees. Did you know that the average lifespan of a live oak is 600 years? Like many of our native plants, when you first plant them, you look at them and you say, it's not doing anything. But the reality is, those first 2 years in the ground, our perennial native plants tend to use an abundant amount of energy getting those roots into the ground. Some of our native bunch grasses grow 16 feet of roots into the ground before they ever put any growth up above ground. And that deeply rooted growth is what allows them to not only be stable and put that growth on above ground, but to weather those times of severe drought. Now, sometimes when you plant a tree, you look at it and you say, it's not thriving. Almost always, that's because we compact the soil. The main way we compact the soil, we walk over the root zone where we planted the tree and we crush those growing roots so that they cannot get the oxygen they need. When we do that, we take all the airspace out of the soil, and when it rains, the tree can't get oxygen, and so it smothers. Now, sometimes it manages to keep growing, and then you may start noticing it die back from the tips. Very often, the reason it does that is because we put soil around the root flare. We don't want to see the top of the roots. And that smothers the tree, and you can see because it will slowly die back from the tips and take a very long death from that. The good news is if you remove the soil from the barky part of the root, it will recover. Now sometimes we see a tree actually fall over. And when we see that, we see the tree falls over, we say, the tree failed. It's usually not true. It's usually the soil that failed because we didn't put enough organic matter in the soil, or we just didn't give the tree enough room to grow. You know that the roots of a live oak tree go out like 4 to 5 times the size of the tree canopy. And they communicate with each other. They share chemicals. So if one gets oak wilt over here, another one already has oak wilt 3 or 4 yards down before this one ever starts to defoliate. But when they're healthy, they support each other. They share those chemicals that help them take up through the fungus in the soil the chemicals they need, and they send back the carbohydrates and keep everything else in the soil healthy. So we, as a deeply rooted people of faith, when we have our roots down into the living water, we support each other through these times, and through even the times of the deepest stress, we can thrive as a community. So may the planting of this tree here today realize the hopes of the deeply rooted community of faith here in San Antonio.
Good morning. I'm Wahiba Kara, an Ismaili Muslim and chair of the Soul Center. The Source of Light Soul Center is privileged to be engaged with the work and vision of compassion. Soul Center has long been committed to nurturing spaces, including and especially green spaces. This is important for those who seek to encounter respectfully the full dimensions of faith and life. Planting a tree is akin to planting seeds of knowledge. Both require nurturing soils, soils that foster growth and life. Both require fresh air for an openness to discovering the wonders of creation and of human life. Both honor the integrity and the dignity of all living beings, an honoring to which the diverse religions of the world also call us toward. Soul Center has worked with Eco Center in the past to create programs that are based on sustainability and faith. This tree planting is one of the expressions of the Soul Center's commitment to environmental ethic, to our planet, and especially to the San Antonio community. It is a privilege to be working in collaboration and partnership with so many amazing organizations represented here today. May the planting of this tree at the Headwaters be a symbol of empathy, respect, and compassion in all those who encounter it. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Tom Evans, president of the University of the Incarnate Word. I'd like to thank the City of San Antonio, Mayor Nierenberg, and every organization here today for making this moment possible, and especially to Sister Martha Ann Kirk, who leads with compassion inside and outside of the classroom and across the ministries of the Sister of Charity of the Incarnate Word. And thank you to our grounds crew for taking care of all the trees that you plant and care for each and every year. At the University of the Incarnate Word, we're guided by a mission to educate concerned and enlightened citizens within a global community. Here, young people with boundless potential discover some of the world's most pressing needs and how they can contribute to their resolution. Stewardship of the earth has long been a treasured value at UIW. Catholic social teaching tells us that we have a responsibility to love and protect creation. By doing so, we hold sacred that which God has given us and preserve it for future generations. Upholding and serving future generations is at the core of all we do and at the root of who we are. We at UIW are blessed to work, live, and learn closely with other ministries of the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word. From my office in the Student Engagement Center, I can look out onto the Chapel of the Incarnate Word, the Village at Incarnate Word, the Headwaters, and Brackenridge Villa. Every day, students walk these historic grounds, our Incarnate Word campus, and see the work and effort made by each ministry to live our shared values, to value nature, and today, to plant a compassion tree. What better way to teach sustainability than to model it? I'm proud to have shared the stage today with leaders of so many organizations striving to do the same. I always say that though we at the University of the Incarnate Word are many parts, we are one word. Today, we've shown that while each of us here come from many different organizations and many different goals, we are truly one in our love for our city, our earth, and those who do and will inhabit it. So I ask, may the planting of this tree at the Headwaters be a symbol of our dedication to the care of creation and our commitment to instilling this value in every student of the University of the Incarnate Word. Thank you all for being with us here today. Praise be the Incarnate Word.
We are very grateful for those of you who are